The Eight Immortals Travel East Chapter 5.
Imagine you haven't slept in 6 days. Your grip on reality is slipping, the edges of your vision are blurring, and you are definitely hallucinating.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right. And you are guarding the empty, lifeless, physical vessel of your spiritual mentor. If you blink, you fail this sacred cosmic duty.
Which is, no pressure at all.
Yeah, literally zero pressure.
Uh.
But if you don't leave that room right this very second, you will miss your mother's final dying breath.
It's just a brutal scenario.
It really is. We're talking about stakes that are quite literally life, death, and, well, eternal damnation.
Yeah, the heavy stuff.
Exactly. We are pulling from a dramatic, tragic, and honestly mind-bending Chapter 5 of the classic Chinese text, Journey to the East.
It's such an incredible piece of literature.
It really is. It's this supernatural ethical dilemma that pits mystical loyalty against the most fundamental biological and familial duty.
Right. It's the ultimate clash of obligations.
So when you look at this ancient text, okay, let's unpack this, because even though the story is centuries old, the core human panic here is universal. Being trapped in an unwinnable scenario is so relatable, it will make your chest tight just thinking about it.
Oh, absolutely. The scenario Journey to the East sets up is methodically designed to break its protagonist down. It pushes him to his absolute lowest cognitive and emotional state.
Yeah, they really don't hold back.
Not at all. So we are dealing with a disciple named Yangzi. And Yangzi has been given this singular, terrifying task by his master.
Right, the astral projection thing.
Exactly. The master's soul has temporarily left his physical body to travel to the astral plane, specifically to a sacred peak called Mount Hua.
Okay.
And Yangzi's job is just to guard that empty anchor of a body. He has to watch it until the master finishes his journey and his spirit returns.
And he takes this job with a level of dedication that is, frankly, terrifying to think about. I mean, the text says Yangzi guards the body day and night.
Right, he doesn't dare sleep.
Not a wink. For 6 whole days. To put this in perspective for you listening, imagine the ultimate extreme of house sitting. Or covering for your mentor.
But the stakes are slightly higher than feeding the cat.
Just a bit. Except your mentor isn't, at a conference in Chicago. They are on the astral plane. You're guarding their empty physical shell, and you are strictly forbidden to look away.
Yeah, 144 hours without sleep is just a biological nightmare.
It's insane. Medical science tells us that by day 3, humans experience severe paranoia. You get these micro sleeps and just profound emotional instability.
And he's at day 6.
Right. By day 6, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic and decision-making, is practically shut down. At this point, Yangzi isn't reasoning anymore.
No, he's surviving on raw, desperate, spiritual adrenaline.
Exactly.
And that intense physical deterioration is the crucial lens through which we have to view everything that happens next. He is entirely isolated.
Just totally alone in that room.
Yeah, exhausted to his very marrow and hyper-fixated on this lifeless body in front of him. And in the context of ancient Chinese mysticism, this isn't just a casual, modern teacher-student dynamic.
So it's way deeper than that.
It is a sacred covenant. The master is your spiritual father. He's the entity to whom you owe your enlightenment, your future, and your very soul.
Wow. So abandoning that post wouldn't just be a failure.
No, it would be a cosmic betrayal. Yangzi is in the most vulnerable, fragile state of mind possible, hanging onto his duty by a single thread.
And then the narrative takes that fragile thread and just snaps it.
Completely shatters it.
Because Yangzi is sitting there, probably trembling, right, staring at this body. And suddenly the oppressive silence of that 6-day vigil is broken. Messengers from his family arrive.
And they bring the worst kind of news.
Fast, frantic, worst possible news. Yangzi's mother is deathly ill. In fact, she actually crossed over and died, but she miraculously woke back up.
Which is just incredible timing.
Right. And she is clinging to life by a sheer act of will for one single reason. She wants to see her son one last time before she passes permanently.
And the messenger who brings this news, he doesn't care about the astral plane at all. And what's fascinating here is the absolute whiplash between the mystical reality Yangzi has been living in.
Yeah, for nearly a week.
Exactly, and the cold, hard biological reality that the messenger brings crashing down on him.
It's a total collision of worlds.
It really is. Yangzi is operating purely on spiritual faith, believing this corpse is just a temporary paused vessel waiting for a soul.
But the messenger isn't having any of that.
Not at all. The messenger looks at the situation with brutal, graphic pragmatism.
Oh, they go remarkably hard on the biology.
Yeah.
They don't just say, your master is dead, let's go.
No, they get incredibly specific.
Yeah, arguing that after 6 days of sitting at room temperature, the internal organs inside that body must be rotting away, specifically the lungs and the liver.
It's such a visceral image.
Well, it is. And they call Yangtze's hope that the master will return to life, gluing the tuning pegs of a lute.
Which is just a brilliant metaphor.
It is such a vivid phrase. Like, a lute or a guqin has these pegs used to tune the strings, right? If you glue them in place, you can never adjust the instrument again.
Right, you can't play the music.
Exactly. You become rigid, stubborn, and completely unable to adapt to the changing circumstances.
The messenger is telling Yangtze he is clinging to a rigid, impossible belief. Meanwhile, his actual dying mother is slipping away.
But the organs thing, that's not just to gross him out.
No, the specific mention of the lungs and the liver isn't just shock value anatomy. In traditional Chinese medicine and Taoist mysticism, the internal organs are the physical anchors for the soul.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that literal.
Yeah, it's very literal. Specifically, the liver houses the hun, the ethereal soul that travels to heaven, and the lungs house the po, the corporeal soul tied to earth and the physical body.
Okay, so by bluntly stating that the liver and lungs are rotting,
The messenger is arguing the mechanics of the mysticism. They are saying the biological anchors for the master's dual soul are literally dissolving.
the vessel is spoiled.
Exactly. The spirit physically cannot return, even if it wanted to.
Wait, I'm not buying this messenger's motivation entirely here.
Oh, how so?
Are they actually a cynical skeptic dissecting Taoist spiritual mechanics? Or just a frantic relative trying to use pure shock value to snap Yangtze out of a sleep-deprived trance?
That's a great question.
Like, are they waving smelling salts under his nose by vividly describing rotting organs just to break the spell of the sacred?
It functions entirely as shock therapy. Rational arguments about spiritual duty are useless against a zealot who hasn't slept in a week.
Yeah, his logic center is offline.
Completely. The messenger needs Yangtze to move immediately, so they are intentionally trying to induce biological disgust to override his mystical loyalty.
They're forcing the profane physical decay of the world right into Yangtze's face.
Yes, exactly.
The wild thing is, those graphic biological facts still aren't enough to break him.
It's astounding, really.
Yangtze is so deeply indoctrinated, so utterly committed to this vigil. Even the realization that his master's spiritual anchors are melting away doesn't make him abandon his post.
He's just paralyzed by the duty.
He weeps, crying out that he is trapped. If he leaves to see his dying mother, who guards the corpse?
Right, he's stuck in this infinite loop of obligation.
So the messenger realizes they have to pivot. If graphic biology won't work, they have to escalate to heavy philosophy.
And it is a masterful and devastating piece of rhetoric. The messenger constructs a rigid hierarchy of duty to corner Yangtze.
How so?
Well, in ancient Chinese society, you have two supreme pillars of morality: loyalty to your teachers and rulers, and filial piety to your parents.
No.
The messenger meticulously separates them. They argue that the bond between a master and a student is based on yi,
Yi, right.
which translates to righteousness. Yi is a social constructed bond based on shared principles and chosen loyalty.
Like a contract.
Exactly. It is a sacred contract, yes, but ultimately a contract you opted into.
And then the messenger contrasts that with the parent.
Right. The bond between a parent and a child is framed entirely differently. The messenger argues that this bond is forged by Tian, which means heaven or nature.
So it's biological.
Biological, cosmic, unchosen, and unbreakable. By separating Yi and Tian, the messenger forces Yangtze to realize that he cannot fulfill both duties simultaneously.
Man. The moral math the messenger uses to force that choice is just suffocating.
It really is.
They argue that missing the deadline for the master, failing this vigil, is merely a pardonable sin of broken trust. You made a promise, you broke it, it is a failure of your word.
A professional failure, essentially.
Right, but missing your mother's death is framed as an entirely different category of failure.
A cosmic failure.
If you aren't there when the woman who gave you life takes her final breath, that is an eternal, unpardonable regret. You carry that stain on your soul into the next life.
It's a massive guilt trip.
So what does this all mean for Yangtze in the broader context of his society? Was putting the parent definitively above the master a standard rule, or is this messenger weaponizing a cultural norm to manipulate a vulnerable man?
It's a bit of both, honestly. Filial piety, devotion to family, was overwhelmingly the bedrock of all other virtues in the broader society.
Okay, so it was the baseline.
Yeah. If you weren't loyal to your parents, you couldn't be trusted to be loyal to a king or a master.
That makes sense.
However, in niche, ascetic spiritual traditions like Taoism, transcending earthly attachments, including family, was often a strict requirement to achieve true enlightenment.
Oh, so Yangtze was supposed to be above family ties.
Yes, the messenger is brilliantly weaponizing the dominant mainstream societal value of family to crush Yangtze's esoteric duty to his spiritual master.
They're shifting the weight of the guilt.
Precisely, framing the master as a temporary professional failure and the mother as a permanent moral collapse. And that crushing philosophical weight, combined with the sheer cognitive failure of a 6-day waking nightmare, finally breaks Yangtze.
I mean, how could it not?
The text tells us his mind is full of hesitation, completely torn. But the situation is so desperate and the messenger's logic is so airtight, he feels he has absolutely no other choice.
He yields.
He does, but he doesn't just walk out the door. He is cornered by this moral math, and he realizes he has to sever the contract with his master permanently.
Oh, right, because in his esoteric tradition, there is a specific, irreversible way to break that physical bond.
Yes.
He builds a pyre. And the details of this cremation are heartbreaking and incredibly ritualistic.
They are very deliberate.
Yangtze gathers oil, he gathers firewood, and he meticulously places the master's lifeless body on top. He sets up sacrificial offerings.
He is preparing to burn away the evidence of his duty.
Yeah. And as he does this, he writes an agonizing elegy. It is a poem of complete surrender to the universe, and I want to read the core of it.
Please do.
It goes, "Mother is ill and cannot rise. Master's soul hasn't returned. His words I wish to fulfill, but mother's command. How can I endure to disobey? Giving up fish for bear's paw, I cannot have both."
The phrase "giving up fish for bear's paw" carries massive historical and philosophical weight.
Tell me about that, because it sounds so strange to modern ears.
Well, it comes directly from the philosopher Mencius, who wrote in the 4th century BCE. Mencius argued that he likes fish, and he also likes bear's paws, which were considered an incredibly rare, exquisite delicacy at the time.
Oh, gotcha.
But, Mencius writes, if he cannot have both, he will let go of the fish and take the bear's paw.
So it's about prioritizing.
Exactly. Mencius used this specific metaphor to explain that while he values his own life, he values righteousness even more. He would willingly sacrifice his own life to maintain his moral integrity.
Wow. So Yangtze is actively flipping that classical script.
He really is.
He's taking this high-minded, 2,000-year-old philosophical text and using it to justify breaking his sacred oath.
It's a profound rationalization.
He framed his dying mother as the bear's paw, the greater moral good, the virtue forged by heaven. The master's body is reduced to the fish, the lesser good that must be sacrificed.
For the sake of the greater?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He tearfully bids the spirit to take care at Mount Hua, basically saying he's on his own now. But the ritual he performs next, here's where it gets really interesting, involves a very strange, specific ingredient.
He fuels the fire with beans.
Yes. He lights the pyre, and as it's burning, the text explicitly notes that he continuously throws handfuls of beans into the roaring flames to drive the heat higher.
It's such a striking detail.
I have to ask about the mechanics of this. Why beans? It feels like such a bizarre, specific detail to include in a moment of profound spiritual tragedy.
It does seem weird, but it is actually a deeply functional part of ancient funerary and sacrificial rituals.
Oh, really?
Yes. Certain dried beans and grains are highly combustible because of their dense oils.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When you throw them into an intensely hot fire, they pop and crackle violently. The sound perfectly mimics the loud, percussive explosions of firecrackers.
Like popcorn, but much more aggressive.
Exactly. In ancient traditions, that sudden chaotic noise was thought to ward off wandering evil spirits or demons.
Because demons are drawn to death.
Right, they are naturally drawn to the smell of death and vulnerable, untethered souls.
Okay, so Yangtze isn't just standing back and watching the fire burn.
Not at all. He is actively purifying the space, frantically throwing handfuls of beans into the flames to protect his master's dissolving body from demonic interference one last time.
Wow. But the intensity of that destruction is staggering. Why the absolute finality of burning the body to complete ash?
It's a desperate measure.
Why doesn't he just lock the door of the vigil room, barricade it, put up some protective wards, and hope for the best while he runs to his mother? Why destroy the vessel completely?
Because of the messenger's manipulation. Leaving the body intact means leaving the vigil uncompleted. It leaves an open loop.
Ah, I see.
If the body is still sitting in that room, Yangzi's duty is still active, and every step he takes toward his mother is an active step of abandonment.
He would be tortured by the indecision.
Yes, but if the body is entirely gone, reduced to ash, you cannot guard what no longer exists.
The duty is canceled by destruction.
Precisely. The cremation is a traumatic, violent act of closure.
It's so intense.
By destroying the body, he creates a permanent point of no return. He uses the fire to physically burn away his own paralyzing indecision so he can psychologically free himself to go to his mother.
Fire offers absolutely no compromises.
None.
Because of the oil, the firewood, and the combustible beans, the fire is incredibly fierce. The master's body, this fragile vessel that Yangzi guarded without sleep, pushing himself to the brink of insanity for 6 agonizing days, turns to ash in mere moments.
It's just gone.
It is. Yangzi weeps to the empty sky, a profound cinematic moment of grief. He has sacrificed his spiritual future, he has broken his sacred promise, and he has destroyed the physical anchor of his spiritual father.
But the terrible choices made.
Right. He turns and sprints for home to see his dying mother. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the cruelty of this story is unmatched.
The narrative waits until he has burned everything down to deliver the ultimate devastating gut punch.
It's so hard to read.
Yangzi arrives at his childhood home, panting, desperate, having sacrificed his entire world for this single reunion, only to find out that his mother is already dead.
He is too late.
Yeah.
The sheer, unadulterated tragedy of this situation is breathtaking. He endured 144 hours of psychological torture. He betrayed his master.
He burned the body to ash.
He chose the bear's paw. He satisfied no one and lost everything.